Hey guys, with all the information being out now for version 3.2, it's time to establish a new pull plan. We're gonna talk first about version 3.0 and then 3.1 and then 3.2, right? We already talked about version 3.0 and 3.1 in my previous pull plan, so we're gonna speedrun this and just mention it briefly. Once we hit the version 3.2, we're gonna talk about things a little bit longer and go into quite a bit of detail there. Starting off with version 3.0, we get the two new characters Sentinel and Sharon, plus 3 new Euphoria updates for Centurion, Getian and Druvis. Getting the most obvious thing out of the way first, and that is that Sharon is an absolute must pull. He makes the Dynamo team complete, future proof, and you will have established the second best team in the entire game for pretty much ever, so you don't want to miss out on that guy. Now, Sentinel is released before Sharon. That's already a bummer. That already doesn't make her a must pull. Secondly, she is not a must have. She does not complete the Blood Tie team. The Blood Tie team is already complete, already completely busted, and by far the best team in the game. Nothing else comes even remotely close there. So pulling for Sentinel is an absolute overkill and therefore not necessary. She will belong into our gray area, pointing more towards pull though, because a character that is the best in slot for the best team in the entire game should not be disregarded, and therefore we have to give her some credit, right? Yes, she is not a must pull, she is overkill, she's not necessary by any means, but she's pretty cool and yeah, she belongs as the best in slot to the best team. That deserves credit, but you don't have to pull for her. If you would do that, I wouldn't blame you, right? Pulling for a character, again, that is the best in slot for the best team is reasonable. Then we have Centurion. Now Centurion belongs into the same spot as Sentinel. She is a must pull if you don't have Recoleta. Then I would highly recommend you pull for Centurion, because she's going to be the second best DPS character in the game for the Ultimate Archetype team. And if you don't have Recoleta, which by the way will have a rerun banner, a bait banner so to speak, with this Promise of the Warlord banner or whatever it's called, so you would obtain Centurion for cheaper, as you can't guarantee yourself the Recoleta, as you would also have the 50-50 chance of actually getting Fatutu instead of Recoleta, and therefore Centurion is cheaper and yeah, just a better pick to pull for. So if you don't have Recoleta, then Centurion becomes a must pull immediately. If you have Recoleta, which you should after the 2nd anniversary, then you don't have to pull for Centurion. You still could, because you would then have a DPS character from the Beast Afflatus who's really cranked. That's why she leans more toward pull than skip, even if you have Recoleta. There we go. Now, Getian is also kind of a must pull, because he's the best in slot character by far actually for the Ultimate Archetype team. You play him with Melania and Recoleta together, and that's gonna be the best Ultimate Archetype team in the game. Now, he is not a complete must pull either though, and that is for the simple reason that Recoleta and Melania, they already get the job done perfectly fine. If you have a character like Muldir, for example, or like Low Para, then you don't necessarily need Getian. I would still recommend it, because he outclasses these two by quite a huge margin. But is he a must pull? No, he's not. At least, like, it depends, right? If you don't have Muldir or Recoleta, then yeah, then you should definitely pull for Getian. But it is very likely for people to have at least Low Para there, and therefore He's not a must pull, but very recommended. He is more of a must pull than Centurion or especially Sentinel would be. Okay, then last but not least we have Druvis, and Druvis is an absolute must skip. You should not pull for Druvis. We speculated now for a very long time that the Fire Sprouts will come in version 3.1, they will come in version 3.2, and they are still nowhere to be seen. The Burn archetype even now gets a rework with the Isolde and Beryl releases that is called Afterglow, and Druvis's Euphoria update is still left in the dust and absolutely completely 100% unplayable and useless. Now it is too late for Druvis to ever consider getting your hands onto her. The time has run out for her, and therefore she's a must skip. Sorry, Druvis. Moving on to version 3.1, we have the new characters Robushka and Corvus, plus the Euphoria updates for Argus and A-Knight. This is a version that is 100% catered towards new players. If you missed out in any team and you miss bits and pieces here for your teams, that is the version where you can fill in. First of all, we have Robushka, who is the healer for the Blood Tie team. We already have Medicine Pocket, who does an absolutely fantastic job there, so again this is absolutely not needed and would, just as Sentinel is, be a complete overkill. Now I would recommend you to either have Sentinel or Robushka, because these two are the characters for the Blood Tide team that have a mechanic specifically catered towards filling the Blood Tide above the normal means of you just losing HP, right? So one of them would be kinda good to have. You can freely skip both of them though, because again, even without these two, the Blood Tie team will belong at first place, at the best team in the game forever. You don't have to worry about a single thing there at all. But again, same as Sentinel, Robushka also has the same kind of value as Sentinel. Not a must pull, unnecessary overkill, but is the best in slot for the best team in the game by far, and therefore we have to give her some credit and let her point more towards actually pulling. Then we have another case with Corvus, who is completely useless. Like, if you walk out of the second anniversary without Lucy, you made a massive mistake. That is like crazy, right? So what's the point of having a character that is much weaker and only has single target damage? It doesn't do anything. She's weak, she doesn't really get the synergy done, she's pretty much an unplayable character. That's really how bad she will be. Of course, her single target damage will be out of control, but it doesn't matter if you have Lucy, who's much way better, you know, it's not even comparable. So there's no point of ever pulling for Corvus. That's why she's a must skip, even if you are a new player. Let's say you start the game off in version 3.0, so you don't have Lucy, right? Then in version 3.0, instead of pulling for like a main DPS as you should, such as Centurion, you would need to pull for Sharon, because otherwise Corvus is then unplayable, and it is not worth it, even as a new player, to pull for Corvus. No matter how you spin it, Corvus is a must skip no matter what. Then we have the Euphoria update for Argus, who will be not the best in slot, but can be played in the rank up team. And now, since we know about the version 3.2, Argus becomes a little bit more valuable, and that's why we put her also in the gray area that points more towards actually pulling for her. You don't have to pull for her because she is not a best in slot, but when we talk about version 3.2, you will see why Argus is quite valuable to obtain and then save her for the usage in version 3.2. That's why, yeah, like gray area pointing more towards pulling, but it's not a must pull by any stretch of the imagination. And that is only if you don't have Hisabeth, right? If you have Hisabeth, Argus is a must skip right there. But most people, I would say, don't have Hisabeth, right? So let's put her in gray area, pointing towards pull. Then we have A Knight, who is a 100% must skip, no matter how you look at it. You will either have Recoleta now, because she gets the bait banner in version 3.2. I think she will get it in version 3.2. There will be a bait banner with Recoleta in it. That's the point. And even if this bait banner joins in version 3.2, it doesn't matter, because in version 3.1 you got the main DPS with Centurion for the ultimate archetype team, and that renders A Knight completely useless. Like, not even his afflatus or anything. He has zero value in this game. And that's about it. Now we can talk about version 3.2. Alright, so there is one complete catastrophe here. So let's get that one out first. And that is the character Brume, or Broom, however you pronounce her. It doesn't matter, right? That is an absolute must skip. She's supposed to be, or she is, the sub DPS for Corvus. Corvus is already another tragedy that is a complete must skip, and Broom is arguably even worse, so just forget about this character. Now it gets a little bit more complicated when we talk about the other four characters here though, so hear me out. Okay, now let's talk about the real juicers here in version 3.2. First, those are Beryl and Anionala. Now there is a huge bait going on here, at least for most people, not for everyone. And this bait is Beryl. Now if we look at her on the surface, right, she is absolutely gorgeous. She is the mom of a very beloved character with Matilda. She brings this new mechanic to the game called Afterglow. She can be played in the follow-up attack team or in the rank-up team. So no matter where you look, Beryl seems absolutely amazing, and everyone will want to have her. She's extremely tempting to pull for. That is 100% understandable. And this is where the bait lies though, because Beryl should not be the point of focus in version 3.2, at least not when we talk about the true metagame, which this channel is all about. That should be Anionala instead. Her Euphoria is gonna be the best thing in version 3.2. She will have her rerun, by the way. She's a limited character, therefore she will not be part of the Euphoria banner. Keep that in mind. And Anionala is gonna be the must pull in version 3.2 in case you don't already have her. Now, if you have Anionala already, and all you need to do is establish her Euphoria update, then you're good to go. And you can then consider pulling for Beryl. But keep in mind, you will have to play Beryl in the rank up team, because Anionala is gonna take the spot for the follow-up team. Then you cannot play Flutterpage and Fatutu together with Beryl, because you will need to play them together with Anionala. More onto that in just a second. So if you have Anionala, that is the very important part I need to put emphasis on. Then you can establish yourself the rank up team, and then you can pull for Beryl. Because if you look at this Euphoria banner here, then you will see in version 3.2 we get access to Via, Argus and Marcus. The entire rank up team is part of the Euphoria banner, and they do this for a reason, and the reason is that you need this rank up team to be able to play Beryl, right? That's why these characters are part of the Euphoria banner. So you can play Beryl if you decide to pull for her, which you will probably do, right? And there we go. Beryl is not a must pull. The must pull in this version is Anionala. So Unfortunately, I know this will break a lot of people's heart, and yeah, maybe they are now pissed at me and they're crying. I don't care, right? I'm telling you the facts, and I'm not balancing this game, you know, like write an email to Bluepoke, don't get pissed about me. I'm just telling you what the case here is, okay? But I understand how tempting Beryl is. I feel you. But Anionala is just better. And if you want to play the strongest thing and pull for the best things, then you're gonna go for Anionala. Excuse me. If you pull for Beryl, then yeah, you have to keep in mind of it, because you could have Anionala, but you have to keep in mind that it's gonna be very, very expensive, because you will probably, most likely, need then more than just one character from the Euphoria banner, right? Consider that, please. And there we go. Let's talk a little bit more about Anionala and Calabauna, right? These two, they will be played together. Calabauna will be the main DPS, and you will bind Anionala to Calabauna. What you have to keep in mind is that Calabauna is here in the Euphoria banner, because they want to have you, they want to give you an option to play together with Anionala. That is why Calabauna is here and getting her Euphoria update, right? That makes perfect sense. You have to be aware though that Calabauna is the budget version, just in case you don't have GU Nyangzhe at P2. If you have GU, then you will bind Anionala to GU and you don't need to pull for Calabauna. Again, Calabauna is only here in case you don't have this limited character GU at P2. And yeah, that's why you don't need, like, if you pull for Anionala, right, and you don't have GU, that turns Calabauna into a must pull as well. You need her to play her together with Anionala. That will be the must have in version 3.2. You do not want to miss out for that. That makes Flutterpage like more viable. Again, Flutterpage fell off cliff a little bit because she doesn't have any best in slot anymore in any good team. She's only a slot in, and yeah, that is not something that you would want to be. With Anionala and Calabauna or Geo, that breathes new life into such an amazing character that is Flutterpage, right? And you play this with Fatutu, it's gonna be extremely strong. How good this will truly be, we will have to wait and see. This will be the contender for the third best team in the game, and it's competing against Impromptu. We will have to wait and see. We will see this in 2 days. And yeah, then we will know more. I don't actually know when the rerun for Anionala is happening, but we get the Euphoria updates in 2 days, so stay tuned for that. And then we will see if this team is better or worse than Impromptu. It will be 3rd or 4th place in the meta. So there you go. That's about that. That makes Calabauna not a true must pull, because you might have Geo. If you don't, then she's a must pull. Keep that in mind. I will leave her in the gray area, pointing more towards must pull. And yeah, that's the problem here, that it leaves the Isolde Euphoria update completely in the dust again. There's no usage for her, right? It is this very niche thing that you shouldn't do, by the way, is that you skip Calabauna. You don't have GU, you don't want to pull for Anionala for some reason, right? But you want Beryl. That is your thing. That is the route that you want to go. And you don't have Via, you don't have Marcus, you don't give a fuck about Arius, right? Like, if all of these weird scenarios occur to you, then you can pull for Beryl, play her together with Isolde, Flutterpage, and Fatutu, right? That is the little tiny niche that Isolde is here for, and that's about it. This might, like this scenario here with Isolde and Beryl not so very much. She's kind of set in the rank up team, but Isolde might have a bright future, because of this afterglow rework, she also has the same mechanic as Beryl. She also provides this afterglow, and she stacks it with burn, and she can provide afterglow herself. And the next version, there is already a little bit of a teaser for it, and the patch is called something with flames. So it is reasonable to believe that they release more characters with the burn mechanic, or specifically afterglow. I will throw Jay out here because Jay got a rerun right now in our game. He receives a gorgeous Euphoria. He is a burn character, just as Isolde is, so it is very, very likely that we get a Euphoria update for Jay in version 3.3 that synergizes either around afterglow, or it will synergize around afterglow because of burn. Maybe he gets his own afterglow, we will wait and see. But Isolde has future potential. That is why I will leave her in the gray area, but pointing more towards skip. And there you go. And that's gonna be the pull plan. So in version 3.0, 3.1 and 3.2, the only character that you really 100% need is honestly Sharon. Even if you don't have Anionala, I wouldn't recommend. To me, she's an absolute must pull, right? If you don't have her, you should pull, and then you should establish the team with Gio or Calabauna in case you don't have Gio. So yeah, if you don't have Gio, then Calabauna is also, you should have Anionala with either Gio or Calabauna and play them together with Flutterpage and Fatuto. That is pretty much recommended, right? It might change when we see what gets released in version 3.3, but we are not there yet. So all our information up to 3.2, those are the must pulls. It's Anionala. If you don't have Gio, then Calabauna is a must pull from the Euphoria banner, and you need Sharon. That's about it, right? These characters here, these 6 are optional, depends on what you want, which bits and pieces you need for your teams. That's about that. Then Isolde, yeah, is a skip, but might have a bright future. It is pretty likely. And then we have our tragedies here with A-Knight, with Brume, with Druvis and Corvus. And that's about it, guys. That's the pull plan all the way up to version 3.2. I hope that video was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, don't forget to join the Discord server, link in the description down below. Take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.